And good evening. We'd just like to thank you for tuning in to the what I call, this is the backyard barbecue cooker, and what you're looking at here is my I call it number 2. This is my outdoor cooker. It's a charcoal wood-fired combination cooker. I just say cooker. I've actually done pizza in this, and turkeys and hams and kielbasa and a few other things. So I'd just like to show you, what we got here. So if in case you like to make one, this is stuff I found basically at the junkyard and parts I found over the course of a number of years. The key to a project like this is patience and just waiting and looking around till you find the right items. So what you're seeing here is a 100-pound former 100-pound propane tank that I picked up from a friend of mine. And what you're looking at here, I'll take my little pencil, and this opening here, I basically took an angle grinder and cut this door out and drilled out some utility hinges, probably like a 3-inch hinge. There's 1, 2, and 3. In the angle grinder, I basically took a Sharpie marker and a 4-foot yardstick and drew out the rectangle shape for the door, pre-drilled the hinges. And on this side, I took a gate latch, which you could find at your local hardware store, like a liftover gate latch on the other side, and formed the door. And this is all quarter 20 bolts here. You could use 5/16 20 bolts for all your hinges and whatnot. I find a quarter-inch suffice, but 5/16 probably would not be a bad idea. This on the bottom has a stainless steel bowl, which I found at the junkyard. This is where the patience comes in, where I basically took a stainless steel bowl, heavy-duty one, which I don't know what it was from, but it was just about the right diameter, and that forms the charcoal or wood small, which I cut 2 small pieces, probably 5 or 6 inches in each section, and a combination charcoal and wood fire. And that takes practice. I encourage you, once any equipment like this, like an outdoor cookers, grills, smokers, require a lot of practice, many hours of practice and temperature monitoring. And I encourage you to take a journal and keep a date, the time, date, temperature, weather report, what the temperature is out, fall, summer, winter, spring, whatever it may be, what you're cooking, and keep a log on what you're doing here as well. On the left-hand side here is a hole I drilled in the side of the tank, which creates like the kind of the chimney effect, where it draws air from the bottom and rises to the top to your flue here on the left, on your left, and looking here. Actually, this is a 2-inch piece of, essentially, mine is a 45-degree elbow, but it's a 2-inch iron pipe plumbing size fitting on the flue on the top, welded into the top end of this. And on the right-hand side, this is the natural bung. It's a 3/4-inch female national pipe bung that came with the tank. I put a pipe fitting nipple into it and went with a 3/4, and it might be 1 inch. Some tanks have 1 inch. I do have, it's a 3/4 by 2 iron pipe elbow, 90 right here, and a short piece of 2-inch pipe here, and actually a clapper I found at the local tractor parts store, like a farm store. And I have this on this is my, what I call the draw flue. When I get this firebox on the bottom, charcoal, I usually open this up until we start getting a good draft. Your temperature gauge, which is right here, which is I had this is like a piece of 3/8-inch iron pipe. It's actually a capillary that goes in here, and I have it mounted on a flange on the beginning here, bolted to this. And I've actually made this so that the temperature gauge can be removed and changed if necessary. Now what you're looking at here is this is a rendition of a 12-quart, 13-quart stainless steel stock pot. And that's the capacity of this piece of equipment. I actually can do like a 14-pound turkey or a 12.5-pound pork picnic or something of that nature as a capacity. And below it, I actually picked up a piece of cast iron, a round circular piece of cast iron from an old plumbing drainage cast iron fitting, which I took a angle grinder and removed the top collar off it, which makes a really nice sturdy circular burner rack inside. And below it is basically two pieces of angle iron strung across at the right height here and bolted into the inside of the tank. We're forming, you know, it's for your grill, or not a grill surface, but your pot rack or your cooking rack. Now the distance between this, the flame, the fire pot, if you will, on the bottom, and this is arbitrary to what you might prefer. And this is part of the experimentation of what I had come up with. Again, you want a minimum of probably 6 to 8 inches. Anyway, for my research, what I found between this point, minimum of 6 to 8 inches from between this point and this point, and would be a good start to actually keep in mind. At any rate, this is basically something I put together. It's been quite successful. Again, time and practice. A lot of times you can find old propane tanks. You know, again, there are videos on the internet how to properly prepare one. I did some studies first on how I purged before I took any angle grinder or drill or any type of cutting tool to this to make sure that your propane is purged. Make sure that your tank is completely empty and there's no fire hazard. So there are some very helpful videos on how to do that, how to purge an LP tank before you take any cutting tools to it. So I would advise you to make sure that you're working safe. And anyway, I call this cooker number 2, and it served me well for the last couple of years. It took me quite a while to build this, but once you practice a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. I find cooking outdoors, you know, out in my backyard, a very fulfilling experience. To me, it's it's a hobby for me, and I do something constructive for my wife and son, my family, and we all sit down to dinner. So family, it's always a good thing. So I'd like to thank you for your time and this presentation, taking your time to take a look at this presentation. Once again, thank you for your time. Bye for now.